Dude, your freaking dog knows how to ring a doorbell? AskReddit, what's the most creepily intelligent thing your pet has ever done? My cat, Tuffy, stole a piece of bread off of the stove and put it in the floor next to the cabinet. She then stared at it intensely and motionlessly for an hour. We thought that was creepy. Then a mouse came out from behind the cabinets to get the bread and she pounced it. She was using the bread as motherfucking bait. This is the same cat who routinely burns her tongue licking light bulbs, hisses at them, and keeps licking. I have a chocolate lab and a black cat. My dog loves tennis balls. My cat doesn't want my dog to be happy, so he would sit on her tennis balls like a chicken hatching an egg. One morning I was getting ready for work and my dog is barking at my cat because he's sitting on her tennis ball. I thought, alright, that's it. And I went to the closet, got 3 cans of tennis balls, opened them and tossed them around the apartment. My cat seemed unmoved as my dog yelped in glee at her newly found fortune. I left for work. When I got back home that evening I hear my dog barking in the dining room. When I get there I see all 10 tennis balls in the corner, guarded by my cat and my dog barking at him. He looked me in the eyes as if to say, frick you, I win again. Had a cat I had a rudimentary system of communication with. When she was hungry, she'd walk into the room and sort of lick her lips if you will, flicking her tongue in and out a few times and I'd then follow her to the kitchen. She also always wanted to claim my computer chair for herself but I wouldn't let her sit on it. So one day she comes in my bedroom, licks her lips, turns towards the door and as I get up to follow her, she gave a little triumphant chirp, whipped round at the speed of light and jumped on my now vacant chair, then curled up in the middle and proceeded to groom her fur while looking very pleased with herself. I was tricked by a cat. I had a similar issue. Across from my house is a preschool with a garden. It's got a few nice, mature trees in it. I didn't think there was any way for my cats to get into it because the fence is pretty cat proof. My boy, Totoro, always preferred being free to roam. He'd hang out inside with me happily but would freak out if his access to outside was hampered. Call Cypher, my younger boy, has only lived in this house and was nearly a year old before he was brave enough to even try the cat flap. Getting him to go outside was an ordeal and a half. One night, at 2 AM, Totoro wakes me up by batting my face. I go to pet him but he dodges out of reach, really insistent that I get up. I go to check his food bowl but he goes to the cat flap and hops in and out several times, waiting for me to follow him. I throw on my robe and unlock the patio door to follow him. He runs straight over to the preschool fence and shows me that Call Cypher has not only got into the garden but he's stuck in a tree. It's 2 AM. The garden is locked up tight. I can only try to lure Call Cypher down and out the way he came, wherever that is. I call for him. I fetch a pot of treats to shake at him. Totoro cries at him. He comes down the tree, shakily but fine. As soon as he's on the ground, Totoro takes off around the side of the fence. I hadn't explored this part before but I follow him. He shows me the gate and the bent part of the fencing that's just bigger enough for a cat to get in. I understand that we're on to part 2 of the Call Cypher rescue and start calling him again. He's crying back to us but won't walk towards us. At some point I realize that it's 2:30 am and I'm on the preschool's CCTV cameras in my dressing gown. Cool. Call Cypher eventually creeps towards the gate but won't come through or get close enough for me to grab him. Totoro slips through the hole and goes to reassure Call Cypher. He goes in and out of the garden a few times to show Call Cypher that it's okay. No dice. He's not moving. Eventually I accept that he could leave if he wanted. He's not locked in or stuck in a tree anymore and if he really won't leave by himself, I'll come get him when the gates are unlocked. Totoro seems to know this before I do and trots off back home, making sure I'm following him. He waits while I lock the patio door again, follows me to my room and basically tucks me into bed. I tell him to look after Call Cypher and he kind of nods and leaves. 3 hours later I hear out Victory yowling and the cat flap repeatedly opening. I hop out to see what's going on and find Totoro headbutting Call Cypher through the cat flap. I think he spent all night trying to get my beautiful idiot back to the safety of home. Not my pet but my best friend's. His dog figured out how to open the patio door at his house by hitting the handle and leaning into it, and so rather than wait to be let out to relieve herself at night, she would just open the door and go outside and handle business. However, the door would usually shut when she would go out, and the exterior handle was a knob which she couldn't manipulate without thumbs. So she would scratch and bark a bit until my friend came and let her back in. Then she figured out an even better way to get in. When she had finished her business, she would go around front and, I shit you not, bonk the doorbell with her nose. Now I never knew she could do this, so I was watching a movie at my friend's place and he went to go use the can, and while he was occupied the doorbell rang and I got up to answer it and I didn't see anyone out the screen door, so I shrugged and went back to my seat. Then it rang again, and this time I opened the screen door and there was the dog sitting patiently waiting to come in. I was floored. I was like, dude, your freaking dog knows how to ring a doorbell, and he was like, yay. Did I not tell you that? No you didn't. I'm also not sure why I am shouting. She died a few months back and my friend and his family were devastated. R.I.P. Molly. My cat is diabetic. About a month ago he had to start insulin twice daily. I have an auto feeder which goes off every 12 hours and gives a proportioned meal. Since I work early in the morning, the first meal goes off at 5 AM. Half an hour after he eats he gets his insulin. He is a good boy and sits very still while I give him his needle. Every time I tell him good boy and give him a quick once over with his favorite brush. On my day off I forgot to set my alarm for his insulin. At 5:30 he jumped right up on my chest and patted my face every so gently until I got out of bed. He immediately ran right to the fridge and sat down, where the insulin is, waiting for his first brushing. Good boy knows he is a good boy. My fiance and I adopted a puppy back in February. We got her at 9 weeks old. She always slept through the night in her crate with 0 accidents and 0 problems. About 2 months after we brought her home, we were all sleeping in the bedroom when suddenly Carly, the pup, starts whining out of the blue, which was very unusual for her. My fiance goes to let her out of the crate to take her outside, but she just laid back down in the back of the crate and kept whining. Then we heard what sounded like someone coming up our basement stairs. Fiance went to check, nothing. So he picked up Carly to take her outside when he hears the pounding again. He looks around and doesn't see an animal or anyone in our yard making these noises. Then a car drove by and set off our front floodlight, showing the neighbor across the street laying in front of his door at 4:30 AM when it's 20 degrees out, banging on the door yelling for help. Fiance brings Carly back inside and rushes to the neighbor's house to help the guy out and called 911. Turns out the man has dementia, got lost going to the bathroom, locked himself outside and slipped on his icy front steps. Carly woke us up to go help him. Good girl, Cal. I had a really bad day and was in my room crying. My cockatiel Stormageddon started screaming from his cage, so I got him out. He jumped onto my shoulder and put his head on my cheek and started saying it's okay, it's okay, it's okay over and over again. I say that to him when he freaks out in his cage at night time. A car honks a horn outside and he starts screaming and flapping his wings. I didn't realize he could tell I was sad and say it back to me to comfort me like I comfort him, let alone say it at all. There was a time when, coming back from a trip, the balls of my feet were swollen and it hurt going up and down the stairs. My cat, that little sheet, would actually imitate me by limping up and down the stairs, taking the steps one at a time, while meowing pitifully. I swear if he could talk, he would have said something like, "See, this is how stupid you look." My dog has epilepsy, so he has to take a pill every morning. I broke it in half and put it in his food and let go at it. Checked a few minutes later and I see the bowl is completely empty except for one of the halves left in the center. I walked into the living room where he was, looked at him and said forget something as a joke. He looked at me, got up, went back to his bowl and ate the pill in front of me. That frickin' knows what's up. When I lived with my ex, we got a cat that would occasionally come make pitifully adorable tiny mews outside my bedroom door, where my computer was, when she wanted attention. Usually it was 50/50 wanting to be cuddled or wanting me to shake the food bowl so she couldn't see the bottom. One time she sounded a lot more urgent than usual. I went and opened the door and she ran off. Okay, not cuddles. I followed her down the stairs and she turned left into the dining room instead of right into the kitchen where her food was. Okay, what's up? She went to the middle of the floor and sat down, staring at a window. Took me a couple of seconds to realize the bird feeder usually suction cup to the outside was missing and she was very distressed about it. I went outside and put it back on the window, and she jumped on the stool by the window to watch me do it. When I went back and I walked back into the dining room, she looked over her shoulder at me, then jumped down, ran over, rubbed against my legs for a few seconds, then went back and jumped back on the stool again, waiting for birds to show up. She and the other 2 cats in the house were eating out of a pie tin. Can't get more shallow or wide than that without dumping the food on the floor. Quite often she just wanted us to stand there while she eats and watch her back. If I called my girlfriend at around 9 PM on a Friday, my dog would always get excited and head to the truck. I was stationed in Shanghai for about a year, but lived for years in Thailand with my GF and my dog. Whenever I had a long weekend I'd fly back to Thailand. My dog quickly picked up on the idea that whenever my GF switched from speaking Thai to English, she was talking to me. I would call her when I arrived at the airport on a Friday evening, as it was only about 15 minutes from our home, and she'd come pick me up. My dog was able to put this whole scenario together and went apeshit whenever I called on a Friday evening, and he would immediately head for the truck to go pick me up. When I would call her at other hours of the day, he would look at her like he knew who she was talking to, but he knew that it didn't mean that I was coming home. Thank you all for watching another installment of our Ask Reddit. If you haven't done so already, make sure to give that like button some sweet chin music, and subscribe for more awesome content. Check out these videos below. I'll see you in the comment section.